What do you think is the secret to achieving anything you want in life? Is it talent, luck, or hard work? Well, according to one of the greatest sportsmen and philosophers in history, the secret is something else: self-discipline. And in this video, we will show you how to cultivate superior self-discipline and inner peace based on the teachings of Miyamoto Musashi. But who is Miyamoto Musashi and why you should listen to him? Miyamoto Musashi was the legendary samurai who lived in Japan in the 16th and 17th centuries. He was not only a master of his craft, but also a Buddhist and a philosopher who wrote books on war and strategy, such as the Book of Five Rings. He also left behind a set of 21 principles called Tokodo, or the way of walking alone, which express a stringent, honest, and ascetic view of life. Musashi's teachings are relevant for anyone who wants to achieve extraordinary results in any field, as well as to overcome destructive emotions and find meaning and purpose in life. As we will see, Musashi's philosophy is deeply influenced by Buddhism, especially by the concepts of detachment, mindfulness, and compassion. Let's dive into the 7 teachings and see how we can apply them to our own lives. Miyamoto Musashi's blade may be sharp, but this video will sharpen your mind. Subscribe for more thought-provoking philosophy and Buddhist enlightenment. And remember, skipping this video is like shitting your curiosity before the final strike. Discipline. Achieve anything you want. Musashi's life was a testament to the power of self-discipline. He dedicated himself to the art of sportsmanship and won over 60 duels, many of them against multiple opponents or armed with unconventional weapons. He also trained his body and mind through rigorous physical exercises, meditation, and study. He never settled for mediocrity, but always sought to improve himself and his skills. We can learn from Musashi's example and cultivate unwavering discipline in our own pursuits. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when we don't feel like it. It means following a plan, setting goals, and sticking to them. It means avoiding distractions and temptations and focusing on what matters most. It means being consistent, persistent, and resilient in the face of challenges and failures. Discipline is the key to achieving excellence and mastery in any field. Whether we want to become better at our work, our hobbies, our relationships, or our personal growth, we need to practice discipline every day. Discipline is not something that we are born with, but something we can develop through habit and repetition. As Musashi said, avoid doing things just because they feel good. Acceptance. Deal with reality as it is. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the acceptance of reality as it is, without clinging to or rejecting anything. This is also one of the main aspects of Musashi's philosophy. As he wrote, "Accept everything just the way it is." Acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation, but rather an active and conscious form of discipline that allows us to deal with the reality of each moment without adding unnecessary suffering to it. When we practice acceptance, we recognize that things are not inherently good or bad, but depend on our perception and interpretation of them. We also realize that many things are beyond our control, and that trying to change them or resist them only causes stress and frustration. Instead of wasting our energy and time on things that we cannot change, we focus on what we can control, our actions and reactions. Acceptance helps us to let go of our attachments and expectations, and to embrace the present moment with an open and curious mind. It also helps us to cope with difficulties and challenges by acknowledging our emotions and thoughts without being overwhelmed or identified by them. Acceptance is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice that requires constant awareness and mindfulness. As Musashi said, "Do not let yourself be guided by the feelings of lust or love." Mindset. Free yourself from judgments. Another important thing of Buddhism is the concept of emptiness, which means that things do not have a fixed or inherent nature, but depend on the context and the perspective of the observer. This also applies to our own judgments and opinions, which are often based on our biases, preferences, and conditioning. Musashi understood this and wrote, Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Musashi's philosophy encourages us to embrace a disciplined mindset that frees us from our limiting judgments and allows us to see things as they are, without adding our own labels or interpretations. A disciplined mindset is not rigid or dogmatic, but flexible and adaptable, able to adjust to different situations and circumstances. A disciplined mindset is not closed or narrow, but open and broad, able to consider different viewpoints and possibilities. A disciplined mindset is not reactive or impulsive, but proactive and deliberate, able to make rational and informed decisions. A disciplined mindset helps us to overcome our prejudices and preconceptions and to expand our horizons and perspectives. It also helps us to avoid being influenced by external factors such as peer pressures, social norms, or popular opinions, and to follow our own path and values. A disciplined mindset is not a limitation, but a liberation that enables us to discover our true potential and purpose. As Musashi said, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Regret. Focus on the present moment. One of the common sources of suffering in human life is regret, which is the feeling of sadness or disappointment over something that we did or did not in the past. Regret can be useful if it leads us to learn from our mistakes and to make positive changes in our behavior. But it can also be harmful if it causes us to dwell on the past and to blame ourselves or others for what happened. Musashi warned us about and wrote, "Do not regret what you have done." Musashi's philosophy teaches us to avoid dwelling on regret and to focus on the present, keeping a clear mind for effective decision-making and continuous improvement. Instead of being stuck in the past, we should move on and look forward, taking responsibility for our actions and their consequences. Instead of being consumed by guilt or shame, we should forgive ourselves and others and seek reconciliation and healing. Instead of being paralyzed by fear or doubt, we should take action and face the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Focusing on the present helps us to keep a clear mind that is not clouded by negative emotions or thoughts. A clear mind is essential for making wise and rational decisions that are aligned with our goals and values. A clear mind is also necessary for continuous improvement, as it allows us to learn from our experiences and to apply our knowledge and skills to new situations. A clear mind is not a blank or empty mind, but a calm or alert mind that is aware of the present moment and its possibilities. As Musashi said, "Do not let the body be dragged along by mind, nor the mind be dragged along by the body." Find happiness within yourself. One of the main challenges of human life is to deal with unpredictability and uncertainty of the world, which can often bring unexpected changes and events that can disrupt our plans and expectations. Many people try to cope with this by seeking stability and security in external factors, such as location, positions, status, or relationships, hoping that they will provide them with happiness and satisfaction. However, this can often lead to disappointment and dissatisfaction, as these factors are also subject to change and impermanence. Musashi knew this and wrote, "Do not act following customer beliefs." Musashi's philosophy advises us to prioritize internal mindset over external location for lasting contentment and adaptability in the face of life's unpredictability. Instead of relying on external factors to make us happy, we should cultivate an internal mindset that is independent and self-reliant, that can find happiness and peace within ourselves, regardless of the external circumstances. Instead of being attached to a specific location or situation, we should develop an internal mindset that is flexible and versatile, that can adapt and thrive in any environment or condition. Prioritizing internal mindset over external location helps us to achieve lasting contentment and satisfaction that are not dependent on the fluctuations of the world. It also helps us to develop adaptability and resilience that enable us to cope with change and uncertainty and to turn challenges into opportunities. It also helps us to discover our true identity and purpose that are not defined by the opinions and expectations of others, but by our own values and principles. As Musashi said, Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. Mastery. Learn and adapt to new skills. One of the remarkable achievements of Musashi's life was his mastery of multiple skills and disciplines, not only in sportsmanship but also in painting, sculpture, calligraphy, poetry, and philosophy. He was able to excel in these diverse fields because he applied the same principles and methods that he learned from his main pursuit, the way of the sword. He also focused on mastering one skill at a time through focused discipline and practice before moving on to other. He wrote, "Become acquainted with every art." Musashi's philosophy encourages us to master one pursuit at a time through focus, discipline, and practice, gaining valuable patterns that aid in learning and adapting to new skills, instead of jumping from one skill to another without deep understanding or proficiency. We should dedicate our time and attention to one skill and fully immerse ourselves in it until we reach a high level of competence and confidence. This way, we can develop a deep and solid foundation that will serve us well in our future endeavors. Mastering one skill at a time also helps us to gain valuable patterns and insights that can be transferred and applied to other skills and domains. For example, the principles of strategy, timing, and creativity that Musashi learned from sportsmanship can also be useful for painting, writing, or business. The methods of discipline, practice, and feedback that Musashi used to improve his skills can also be effective for learning and adapting to new skills and challenges. Mastering one skill at a time does not mean limiting ourselves to one skill forever, but rather expanding our horizons and potentials by building on our previous achievements and experiences. It also does not mean isolating ourselves from other fields or disciplines, but rather integrating and synthesizing them by finding the commonalities and connections among them. As Musashi said, "Do not fear death." Separation. Detached from emotions and possessions. One of the inevitable realities of human life is the experience of separation, which can take many forms, such as losing a loved one, ending a relationship, leaving a place, or changing a career. Separation can often cause us pain and grief as we feel the loss of something or someone that was important to us. Separation can also trigger fear and anxiety as we face the uncertainty and instability of the new situation. Musashi experienced many separations in his life as he traveled across Japan, fought in wars, and challenged many opponents. He wrote, "Do not be sad at parting." Musashi's philosophy teaches us to manage separations with discipline, acknowledging our emotions but not letting them deter us from our path, and avoiding emotional attachments to our possessions. Instead of denying or suppressing our feelings, we should express and process them in healthy and constructive ways, such as talking to someone, writing a journal, or meditating. Instead of clinging to the past or resisting the change, we should accept or embrace the new reality and look for the opportunities and lessons that it offers. Instead of being attached to our positions or outcomes, we should be detached and content and appreciate what we have without depending on it. Managing separations with discipline helps us to overcome the suffering and fear that they can cause and to grow and evolve from them. It also helps us to maintain our focus and direction and to follow our path regardless of the external changes and challenges. It also helps us to cultivate a sense of gratitude and generosity and to share our gifts and talents with others without expecting anything in return. As Musashi said, "Do not be jealous." These are the 7 teachings from Miyamoto Musashi on how to cultivate superior self-discipline and inner peace. We hope that you find them useful and inspiring and that you will apply them to your own life. Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy is not only a guide for sportsmanship but also a guide for living that can help us to achieve our goals, overcome our obstacles, and find our meaning and purpose. As Musashi said, "The true way of sportsmanship is to fight with your opponent and win." Thank you for watching this video, and remember to subscribe to our channel for more videos on Buddhism and philosophy. See you next time.